One. All right, here we are. And as the host of season 3 of Open Floor with Nishank, I am back again and I'm joining you this time live from Chicago, United States. And this season, we are turning up the energy, diving deeper into extraordinary stories, and bring you guests who redefine what it means to excel in their fields. Open Floor has always been about celebrating real life brilliance, and this season is going to be no exception. From trailblazers in law and business to creative geniuses and industry titans, season 3 promises to inspire, challenge, and entertain like never before. And tonight, we do not just open a new season, we are setting the stage on fire with a guest who's as brilliant as she's captivating. Buckle up because we are diving into a world of legal glamour, grit, and game changing brilliance with none other than Arunima. Now, for people who've been watching the show, Arunima, they know that I'll be reading out a little bit about you. And this is all read out as a part of the formal introduction. I feel Arunima is what happens when sharp legal acumen meets unstoppable ambition. She's navigated the glittering worlds of media, technology, and global commerce, closing high stake deals and cross border transactions with the finesse of a maestro. From drawing up contracts for icons like Virat Kohli and Shah Rukh Khan to orchestrating the backstage magic for Sunburn and Road to Ultra, I think she's one of the powerhouses that makes sure the show always goes on. And speaking of shows, Arunima, you've built quite the stage of your own on social media, where your insights and thought leadership have earned a devoted following. With an MBA in finance to your name, you're not just a lawyer. I feel you're a strategist, mentor, and definitely a digital trailblazer. So, turning legal problems into business gold. Arunima, welcome to the show. Welcome to the opening of season 3 of Open Floor with Nishank.
So much, Nishank, and that was really a wonderful introduction. So, thank
No,
you for
thank
reminding me about what I've done in my career.
no, thank you so much. And like I keep saying, the research team really works hard on that. But obviously, thank you for also providing us with a lot of your details. And before we start to delve into all the professional things, Arunima, 2024 is also coming to an end. And like, how has this year been for you? Before we start talking about law and whatnot.
I think this year has been really like a roller coaster. I mean, I have had extreme negative things I've experienced and then extreme positive. I've seen those negative situations turn into positive, but in that moment, I felt that I was lost. So then, it kind of took me some time to, understand that it's okay, I need to be patient and this too will pass. So I think I've learned patience more in this year. And yeah, that's what has been kept me going.
Wow. No, that's wonderful, and thank you for sharing that. And it's also sort of very important to anyone out there, since the year is ending. I think for everyone, like nobody could say just everything has been positive or everything's been negative. I like how you said that the negative is turned into positives. Also, that also you've seen. Yeah, and this year has been has had its really bit of ups and downs and whatnot. And I mean, with respect to even the introduction, and as we delve into the legal field, Arima, I have a little bit of bias, okay, here today because you're one of the most favorite guests of mine, at least on the show. So we'll talk a little bit about all the areas that you've worked in and delved in. But let's hear it from you. Let's hear your legal journey first from you. What do you feel like the past decade has been for you, starting from when you started out in college, when you start out as a fresher to somebody who's just joining college, you're new into the world of law, to where you are today? How do you see the journey? How do you see the progression?
Honestly, I think it's always been a mix of curiosity and excitement. So I don't think this is being a lawyer is something that I planned, but this was something chosen by destiny. Um, And we come from families, at least in India, where people either have you want you to become a doctor or an engineer. There is no other field that they really recognize. So these are the traditional ways of creating your shaping your life. So that being said, I think law happened to me gradually, but once it happened, I realized that this is what I understand the best. Okay. And I think that's the way today I'm a TMT lawyer, right? And look at technology, how it is shaping our lives in ways that we couldn't have imagined a decade ago. So I think that's also something that kept me very interested. Now, I'll talk about technology. Why technology, media, and telecommunication, which is
Right,
TMT
right,
abbreviation. So I think to me, it is an intersection of innovation and impact. So working in TMT would mean that you're not just dealing with the laws traditionally, but also helping companies, helping people to navigate uncharted waters. So the idea of being part of something so cutting edge, right, where every legal decision could potentially influence how companies and industries grow. I think that's what really intrigued me, and yeah, I mean that's where I started. But then again,
right,
it had its own set of challenges and rewards.
right,
I mean, it's you will never have, so people, when they see you achieve something, so they see that you've been successful, but they don't see the grit
entire
behind
process.
that
Yeah,
success.
right,
One day of somebody's profile, of one day me landing on someone's social network and seeing, oh, that person is really successful, but I don't see the grit behind it. I don't see the um, sleepless nights and the self-doubt that the person would have gone through. So
right,
yes,
right,
I think
absolutely.
that's what.
No, I agree. And when you said this, no, and since that we're also going to talk about contracts related to whatnot, Virat Kohli and Shah Rukh Khan, and we'll be switching a little bit in Hindi and English if you're like comfortable with it, because a large part of my audience also strictly understands Hindi. So, like, if
Okay.
that's okay with you,
Yeah,
we'll try
that's
and
perfectly
switch a
fine.
little bit. But if you need me to repeat it in English or whatever, I'll just do it. But like लोग कहते हैं ना कि बनता हुआ शाहरुख खान बहुतों को नहीं पसंद. जब आप शाहरुख खान बन गए तो फिर आपकी स्माइल अच्छी है and whatnot. Everything about you is good. So I think that is what you're saying. Like, not everybody gets to see the entire process, the entire part of the journey. Now that people see you on a certain pedestal, they feel that, हाँ यार ये कितना successful हो गया या whatnot. That is, I think that is very relevantly also put in how people view social media and other things. Also, a very important aspect about your and I think your profile and that sort of really differentiates you is your MBA in finance. Like, how did that happen? Like, I see lawyers coming in, like partners have come in, managing partners, they've come in and they've talked about, let's say, they've done an LB and they've done an LLM after that. Most probably, some people go on to do become scholars. This is quite unique in terms of the transition that you've made. Would you like to comment a little bit about that?
Um, See, honestly, Nishank, I've not even planned for LLM. So, right from LLB to LLM to MBA,
Yeah,
it's been the problems that I have faced on the ground. And that's when I realized that, look, I am lacking on this skill set and I need that. Because, it's a very evolving industry. Law is never going to be stagnant, okay? You find कोर्ट अपना खुद का जजमेंट जो है ना 5 साल बाद 10 साल बाद ओवररूल कर देता है okay something that has been already set as a precedent. So you realize that it's very important for you to have certain skill sets, especially when you are driving a business, okay, and with the whole corporate laws landscape which is constantly evolving, right? So I think to me personally, I realized that I was not able to I was not able to participate in much of decision making when it came to very specific finance contract,
right,
wherein, they were dealing with P&L or operational risk. They wanted me to
right,
structure certain deal, and I really, really struggled. I went to people who were already MBA in finance or who are CAs, who are, coming from that experience. So I sat with them to try and understand how do I contribute to this better, and how to interpret a certain section. Okay, so that's when I decided that I need this skill set. If I want to be at a certain level, okay, in my journey, then I need this on my profile. I need to read. I need to study about it.
No, and that's such a I think that's such a beautiful thought in the sense that people just add degrees to the name or for the namesake of it, right? I personally know a lot of people who've done an LLM to escape, let's say, the job seeking phenomena that's going on after you do BLLB honors, and then maybe do another degree for that matter, and just adding on degrees without understanding the fact that there was a deficit that is probably required. And I love the way how you said that you wanted to upskill yourself, and that shows that you know how humble and deep rooted you are in your even understanding of how the actual practical aspects of life work. Anima, what do you think, like, especially when you're dealing with, and since you talked about upskilling, like for people who are aspirants and who are essentially starting out in this profession, let's say, you would just graduate in a year into the profession, and since you've had this progression over the years, like you've keep saying, you've seen a lot of ups and downs. What do you think, like, are some of the essential skill sets that any aspirant, especially someone who's relevant to your practice area, should try upon and work and inculcate?
To me, whatever experience, I have, whatever I have learned in the past 1 decade is, I can categorize it only in four categories. The first one, foremost, invest in knowledge. Develop a very deep understanding of your niche. As an expertise, expertise in the greatest equalizer. Okay, so keep reading. It is not going for somebody to be able to understand in 1 day. Now I'll give you an example of it. Okay, somebody might say that we've just started the career, so it's very difficult for us to understand the interpretation of law. It's always going to be like that. Now there is a law called GPSR. It is called General Product Safety Regulation, which has been passed recently in Europe.
Okay.
Past 2 weeks, I'm only reading about it, trying to understand how it will become applicable. Because what that regulation does is it replaces the GPST, which was there. So any
Okay.
product that you're selling in the Europe, okay, as a manufacturer, as an importer, somebody who's importing the product and then making it publicly available,
Right.
as a distributor, okay, and as an authorized representative. So authorized representative is somebody who's in the EU and he's been appointed by the manufacturer to ensure that there is a documentation, technical documentation and everything involved so that the consumer takes a fully informed decision. Now, when you read, okay, you see, okay, these are the only four categories. So, okay, if I am not a manufacturer, I'm not selling it under my name, I'm not making it, distributing the product, and so on and so forth. You feel like, this law is not applicable to me, okay? But the interpretation is very, I'll say very complicated. So, after 10 years, 11 years, in fact, I've spent in this industry, it is still taking me 2 weeks to read and read and read and find out. I'm watching videos from UN to understand how this law will become, applicable to them when they are bringing the product to Europe. Okay. And then I have also seen agencies who are providing this, authorized representative services
Right.
where you can appoint them.
Right.
So I think investing time, there is no, I can't define that only this much time will be
Right.
applicable. Okay. So
Differs
you need to
from.
be ready.
Yeah.
Yes, there is no defined timeline. Now I'm sure there would be somebody who would have understood this regulation in 5 days.
Right.
I'm
Right.
taking 2 weeks, okay,
Right.
because I am still at a place where I don't have much clarity on this. Okay, so I think developing a deep understanding of the niche is very important. Finding mentors, seek guidance from professionals who can provide insights for you and open doors for you. That's very important. I think if somebody is very lucky, they'll find a good mentor. I've not had that chance. So I've learned from my own mistakes. I've made some very, very big mistakes and I've learned from those because I've been embarrassed in those situations. I, kind of learned from that. So anyway, it's okay. I'm not saying that this way one cannot learn. But then, also need to be patient because then it is
Right.
going to take more time.
Right.
instead of somebody hand holding and telling you that, look, this is the right direction and this is how things have to be done. Third is confidence. Don't ever hesitate to assert your perspective and take credit for your achievements, no matter how big or small they are. But always assert your perspective. Even if there is a question, people, I think most of us have that, um, blockage in the head that if I ask this question, probably I'll sound stupid. Okay,
Yeah.
and the world is gonna perceive me as someone who is not smart enough or not meant for the for this kind of profession. uh, Always assert it, no matter, I mean, I have a very strong feminist opinion about the laws. Okay, and you will see me writing about it on my platform, sometimes going and countering other people, but that's my way of looking at things. And I know lawyers who are very good with,
Right.
men's right. They have equally very strong beautiful argument and their stand. Okay, so I think that's the key. Okay, and the fourth one, which is the most important, is building the network. You have to foster relationship not only within your organization but even outside your
Okay.
organization and
Mhm.
industry. So collaboration is the often the concentrate of success. You have to collaborate. Okay, even with business, sometimes when we sit with business people, okay, and we try and understand their perspective, learn so much from them. You see, okay, there is also a fresh perspective, different one, to look at certain thing. Okay,
Right.
so that's also there. So I think these are the broadly the four pillars of my principles that I rely
Right. No,
upon.
that was properly stated and quite in depth also. In fact, I was just looking at your profile, and I see a couple of days back you've also shared a story of a book you were reading, or I think on some coffee table or something. I don't recall exactly. Just shows that you actually practice what you preach. So that's really good. And I heard once that what. I think I don't remember who said this, but books essentially do to your mind what running does to your body. So like books in that sense are sort of really important. I like the fact how you said that you need to be patient, and I think in terms of finding a mentor or networking, so as for the show के हिसाब से तो चलो हम सही कर रहे हैं फिर आपसे नेटवर्क करके आपको इनवाइट करके कोलैबोरेट करके one step I am doing right. I don't know about the other people who are there in the industry. No, but thank you so much for sharing that. One very important thing that you said is you talked about, for example, how you're looking at Europe right now. You're looking at a particular regulation, and you were very honest about it with the fact that it took you 2 weeks. But how exactly do these cross-border transactions work? In the sense that you have to look at so many jurisdictions. When you're doing something like this in a field that is so diverse, in the sense that, for example, let's say if I'm practicing domestic arbitration or I'm litigating in courts in India, then there is a certain principle, certain law, there are certain three codes that I need to know, and my life is more constricted to that. But when the jurisdictions become so open, like how do you navigate the complexities regarding that?
So, see, in my current role, my work is mostly on cross-border transaction that do with M&A. Okay, and these are very complex undertakings that requires you to navigate different legal systems, regulatory frameworks, and even business practices at times when because these can vary widely between jurisdictions. Now, at their core, these transactions involve reconciling differences in laws, some of which may not only be distinct, but sometimes directly be conflicting with one another.
Right.
Okay. Now you have to successfully bridge these gaps to ensure that you are adopting a very nuanced approach. You have an understanding, a deep understanding of the multiple legal and cultural landscape. Okay. Now, for example, if I am dealing with, I'm doing some sort of a transaction in Japan, their
Right.
lawyers will not be speaking in English. Even the paperwork will not be in English. So you are translating everything in English, plus
Right.
the lawyer who will come and converse with you, there will be a translator in between. So you speak to the translator will then translate in Japanese, then the Japanese lawyer will translate in English. And because we are working on two different jurisdictions.
Right.
And the other thing is the one of the key challenge that I see is obtaining regulatory approvals
Okay.
from authorities when we are doing these M&As
Okay.
in multiple jurisdiction, because every country will have their own rules for M&A or partnerships, okay? And these may include certain stringent compliance requirements which could relate to your competition law, antitrust law. Now, our job is to ensure as lawyers that the transaction does not create a monopoly or an unfair trade practice, which is a very crucial hurdle that requires one to have a very detailed market analysis and a very proactive engagement with the regulatory bodies. So these are not just legal in nature, these could be very compliance the
Yeah.
discussion,
Oriented.
okay?
Yeah. Yeah.
And sometimes even to adapt to local business practices, okay, is something that we have to look into. I mean, what works in one jurisdiction may not be very may be very okay, may be very inappropriate or ineffective in
In the
another
other
jurisdiction.
jurisdiction. Yeah. Yeah.
So one needs to be very keen aware of the cultural nuances,
Mhm.
what are the business etiquette, to ensure that there is a smooth negotiation
Right.
and then effective collaboration. So
Right.
these, I think, these are some of the challenges, and of course, technology.
Yeah.
Technology related deals brings their own set of challenges,
Yeah.
where the landscape is in constant flux,
Right.
especially around emerging technologies like
Right.
AI,
Right.
blockchain,
Right.
digital platforms. You have to stay updated, anticipating legal challenges. Okay.
Yeah.
And this is not just legal acumen, but also adapting a very forward-looking perspective to navigate the potential roadblocks, because you want to act as an enabler of the business and not as an impediment. You can't say, hey, this cannot be done. Then
Right.
the business will find another lawyer who will give them a solution. You need to be solution oriented.
Right, right. No, absolutely. And now, since we've addressed the elephant in the room and we are entering deep territories, you just mentioned artificial intelligence. Okay, we'll not be sitting here and discussing blockchain, and that is for sure because this is an aspirant-based show. But you can definitely tell us about your perspective on artificial intelligence in the sense that there has also been a lot of hue and cry. It was initially there, and I even asked the managing partner, VNA partners came in. I asked her this question: do you feel that somewhere down the line lawyers would be sort of out of jobs or anything like that? You see this sort of havoc about artificial intelligence is going to take your jobs and all of that. And then they clarified as to what they felt. And I personally also feel that in a field like law, I don't think like they can maybe assist you. They can be a good sort of a assistant, and maybe reduce your workload, if one could put it like that. But I don't think they can replace lawyers in the sense that like what is your perspective, and then probably I'll share what I feel about it as well. Yeah.
Uh, See, honestly, the tools like AI and blockchain are here to revolutionize, I mean, it's going to change your experience
Right.
with TMT, okay, in a
Okay.
very unprecedented way for the next decade, okay.
Right. Right.
This is going to reshape the industry because they are
Right.
driving innovation, they are improving efficiency, they are redefining the consumer experiences,
Right.
and AI has already started making very significant inroads into TMT sector.
Right. Right.
And the impact, as I see, will only grow in the coming years, okay?
Right.
Because you have automated content production, from video editing to script writing. There is some brand which is, if I'm not wrong, okay, there's some brand, sorry, I don't remember, recollect the name,
It's all
which
right.
has now come up with an advertisement which has only used AI models, AI
Okay.
music.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah, that's
so
true.
you see how these tools are uh, tailored. Okay, they are tailored to meet on-demand content experiences for individual users. That being said, law is a very, very niche area, and you need to, the one thing that lawyers usually charge for is their detailed, the eye to the detail.
Right.
So I'll just give you an example without naming the client.
Okay.
I was given some documents saying that,
Yeah.
I've prepared this using ChatGPT. So can you
Yeah.
have a look? I think I'm pretty much aware of it. Okay, can
Yeah.
you look at it? Now, when I saw that ChatGPT is actually hallucinated, that
Yeah.
also happens. Okay.
Right. Right.
Now, as a lawyer, okay, and this was not even on Indian law.
Right. Right.
So I had to go back to that foreign law and understand how this is going to be applicable, and to, see the disconnect and the wrong information which was put in there. Now I'll give you another, again, coming back to
Yeah.
GPSR, because that's
Yeah.
something that I'm right now working
Right now
upon.
you're
If
looking
you
into.
check,
Yeah.
yes, if you check for GPSR right now, because it's very
Okay.
new, and it's just
Yeah.
been enforced on 13th of December of
Okay.
this year.
Okay.
So if you check what is your liability as a manufacturer, or if you deviate a little from the manufacturer and say, hey, I'm
Right.
not doing the manufacturing activity, I'm doing something else, okay? But I'm making this product available. I am 100% sure ChatGPT will give you wrong articles.
That's
So
true.
you have to go back to GPSR, okay?
Right.
So yes, initial understanding, it's good to, kind of generate certain things
Right.
over there and kind of make your work more efficient. But I don't see it replacing lawyers for sure, even doctors,
Right.
even content writer for that matter. It's gonna take a long, long time.
Okay, perfect, perfect. No, and I sort of quite agree with the parts, especially about how, because these are very skill based professions, and also like the little nitty gritties. For example, what Chat GPT is doing. I mean, let's not get into too much into the details of it, but what's happening here in United States itself also, like NYT, the New York Times, and a couple of news outlets have come together and filed a case saying that they run on subscription based models, right? You need to subscribe the content and then you can obtain whatever, but GPT does that for free, and apparently they've generated close to $960 million in the last year just doing this in terms of their subscription model revenue and whatnot. So it's quite havoc. But what you said there is quite interesting. In fact, here we just United States, just the elections just got over, right? And there were considerable number of videos just running in. So here I guess you need to have just a little disclosure in terms of there will be a disclosure. Let's say if it's an Instagram reel, so a disclaimer might appear that the content is AI generated, or in the very bottom or the right hand side of the video will show that the content has been AI generated. But the power and impact, like people are creating content from scratch, and like you can imitate anyone, like any of the public figures, Donald Trump. I heard Obama saying XYZ, giving political advice. And when you see the more and more the technology is evolving, I feel the distinction is becoming less and less blur, especially with generative AI. So that's really interesting that you also brought about that. Also, we've been talking a little bit about AI generated content, and we've sort of also talked about this considerations, I guess, that need to be taken into sort of, yeah, the considerations that need to be delved up upon, if that is the way to put it. But do you think there are ethical considerations also, like that the lawyers must look at, in the sense that for example, like I said, in terms of the subscription based content, or the fact that a person randomly submitting you GPT based content, but then that's hallucinating or is supplying wrong information. Do you feel that there is a morality aspect? And I'm not talking about India or anywhere, just artificial intelligence in general.
See, okay, let me talk about IP law to contextualize this question. Okay.
Right. Right.
Historically, IP laws have been predicated on human authorship. Okay.
Right.
That
Right.
is granting rights to creators, which is based on their original expressions.
Right.
Okay. Now, AI systems are capable of autonomously generating creative works, which will necessitate the whole reevaluation of these principles.
Right.
Now, in the United States, the Copyright Office has maintained that these words, okay,
Yeah.
these works which are lacking human authorships are ineligible for copyright protection.
Protection. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And this stance raises question about the protectability of any AI generated output
Right. Right.
and the ownership of such creations.
Right.
Uh, I've seen lawyers and even the legal scholars debating regularly about whether these existing laws should be amended to recognize AI as a co-creator, to
Right.
establish a different category of protection which is tailored to AI generated work or not. But
Right.
then again, these are, while these can help you monetize and distribute the digital art, this does pose challenge to the enforcement of the IP right, especially when the underlying content is also replicable.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Now, I think when we talk about ethical, ethical complexity or ethical angle to
Considerations.
it,
Yeah.
I think considering we need to, of course, um, consider amendments to the IP laws to acknowledge the role of AI in the creative process because it is becoming indispensable. So
Right.
potentially we have to recognize AI system as a co-creator alongside human authors. So
Right.
that is also there. And we have to develop very clear guidelines to determine the ownership and the rights distribution when it
Right.
comes to AI generated work, because
Right.
that will ensure clarity in commercialization and licensing of such content, right?
Right.
I mean, uh, and a brand does not want to use real model. He wants to use an AI model because they want to, save some money. It's more it's more viable for them as an option. You can't really stop them from creating that. And then AI is being used in so many areas. You look at healthcare, you look at
Right.
gaming, you look at security. So these are constantly developing and implementing technological solutions such as blockchain, tracking the provenance and the ownership of these digital assets would, only strengthen the enforcement of IP rights in the digital realm.
Right.
So I think there's a necessity for kind of having a more evolved legal framework to adopt proactively
Absolutely.
rather than,
Absolutely. Yeah.
restrict it.
Yeah, and no, I really love how honestly you've been answering all the questions, to be fair. And then, like you were saying initially, that you have a perspective and you like to keep it across, and you're putting it across really well. At least I think everyone who's watching the show as an aspirant would definitely benefit from what you're saying. Okay, Arima, ऐसा कभी होता है and switching to Hindi again a little bit ऐसा कभी होता है कि it has to be I mean I don't know if you've been one of the lucky ones but when you and I've seen that you've developed quite a following also on your Instagram and then you are one of the very like I see a lot of lawyers it's not like they're not speaking their mind or anything like that but you're really out there in the open but then that is also that can become a little vulnerable at times like at times in terms of the fact that the content you share or the information you share not everybody is going to say ki wow like wow this is so good and you're so right this never happens to anybody can you talk about a time or if you're comfortable talking about a time wherein like things have been a little negative there's been some sort of a backlash or things have not gone the way you intended it to be and then how do you deal with a situation like this for anyone who's sort of even building upon, you know, their social media and whatnot?
So, Nishank, you can, there's a saying, okay? You can be the most sweetest peach of all, and still there will be somebody who doesn't like peaches,
Right, right.
you know?
Yeah,
So you could be everything best that you can, and there'll still be somebody who would not like it. Not everybody likes the rain, but there are people
right.
who enjoy the rain, right? Same
Yeah,
rain.
yeah,
So you have to be okay with your opinion. You have to be okay with what you feel honestly about, okay? What you are passionate about. So, for example, it's see, you are going to be vulnerable, like you said, okay? People will judge you. People would come back and say, hey, you're doing this right or this wrong, okay? I know lawyers who are doing very good work on Instagram. They are creating more legal awareness. But if you take a feedback about them from general public or people who are in the same field, they would come and say, अरे वो तो सिर्फ इंस्टाग्राम लॉयर है
Hmm.
वो कोर्ट
That's a
थोड़ी जाता
very
है
common phrase. In fact, you sorry to
yeah
cut you off. but I have seen this phrase being used like ये तो YouTube lawyer है, ये तो Instagram lawyer है.
हाँ,
Yeah, please carry
राइट।
on.
एंड मैंने वही लॉयर्स को देखा है जो कि बहुत अच्छा काम करते हैं। और
Right.
मैं आपको ऐसे लॉयर्स बता सकती हूँ जो कि बहुत सीनियर्स हैं। ओके, रिसेंटली आई हैड मेट समबडी थ्रू अ फ्रेंड ऑफ माइन। ओके, और उन्होंने मुझे बोला कि मैं बहुत ही प्रोमिनेंट एक स्पोर्ट्स पर्सन के लिए काम करता था। ही इज द
Okay.
क्रिकेटर, सो नाम
Yeah.
नहीं लूंगी, बट रिटायर्ड है, काफी काफी फेमस है।
Right. Right.
ठीक है, सो उनके लिए
Why do
काम करते थे।
every time when you say that naam nahi lungi, I have that smile on my face, saying that it's like reading between the lines, but it's okay. People who understand, like they understand if they understand. Yeah, please go on.
So he used to, okay, I'll still
Yeah,
give you a hint. He used to play
yeah,
with Rahul Dravid. Okay.
yeah, yeah.
He's not
Okay.
Rahul Dravid.
Yeah, yeah,
Now,
yeah.
the lawyer who had represented him, some matter mein kiya hoga, right?
Hmm.
So the minute I met him, for 20, 30 minutes, he was going on about how great he is as a lawyer. And not even once did we talk work. Okay. I just kept listening to him. And I said, I've come to meet you through this friend of mine.
Yeah,
And he said, yeah, he's junior to me.
yeah,
The disregard that you have for
yeah,
somebody's
yeah, yeah.
presence in
Position.
the system.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Now, that made me lose respect for him in that moment. And I said, okay, I have to leave now. I'm getting late. And I left in next 10 minutes, I think.
Yeah.
Um, so yes, I mean, it's always, people are always going to, there are people who would like your opinion, support your opinion, and there would be people who wouldn't like you. LinkedIn, आप देखो LinkedIn पे many of this is ChatGPT derived. ये जो
Right,
posts आते हैं ना बड़े बड़े, people
right,
call out on these issue, that issue, अगर आप ChatGPT हटा दो, many of them will not be able to write also. And I have seen very senior people using GPT. Okay, very, very senior people. And they don't even do it properly.
right.
अ, मैं अगर इन लोगों के ओपिनियन के बारे में सोचूंगी कि ये मुझे जज करेंगे, तो इट्स ओके। I don't, and honestly, Nishant, when shit hits the roof, okay,
Yeah,
um, you wouldn't find anybody by your side. आपके
that's true.
आधे 99% लोग ना वैसे ही चले जाते हैं कि
Right,
नो, आई
right,
डोंट नो दिस पर्सन, आई हैव नथिंग टू डू विद दिस
right,
पर्सन।
right, right, right.
But when you are doing well, you are okay in your zone. You're not in, being a problem to somebody. Everything, as long as you are being a convenience to someone, they're
Yeah,
friends with you. They like you. They like your opinion. Okay, he's
right,
convenient, right? That's
right,
how I
right.
see it. And 99% people are like that. And 1% people who really care and who are actually good, okay, they will never judge you. Somebody who has built a startup, okay, that guy is never going to judge you if you have failed in 3 startups. He'll say,
Right,
hey, I
right.
like your, you know, the grit and the approach to life. You're still
Yeah,
doing it for the fourth time.
right,
He'll never
right,
judge
right.
you. And the
Absolutely.
rest of the जनता will say, अरे ये तो फेल करता है, अरे his father's money, इसको
Yeah,
क्या problem है? Things
right.
like that.
True,
So
true,
people
true.
who are building it on their own, they won't judge you. People who are judging you, they don't have anything to do in life. So it's okay.
Okay, that's quite the line too. I think I'll keep it as a quote towards the end or towards the beginning, and you'll make it like a highlight. No, but I agree with what you're saying, especially in the path that it's whether they love you or hate you, as long as they can't ignore you. Like you can't ignore the rain. If it's happening, it's happening. I mean, that's about it. I think that is how even I see it. एंड आई थिंक ये तो बहुत ही ट्रू है ना, मतलब उगते हुए सूरज को तो सभी सलाम करते हैं. That's how sort of it's a part and parcel of any industry. Why legal industry? But since you've been not mentioning names, not taking names, let's talk about the names that can be at least taken on record. I just wanted to understand for people who are starting out, let's say in the media and entertainment space. Okay, firstly, we've already last season we focused on busting the myth कि ऐसा नहीं होता है कि तुम बैठ के शाहरुख खान के साथ चाय पी रहे हो just because you are a lawyer and stuff like this part of it we'll know a little bit. We'd like your insight about that as well, because generally you're dealing with the celebrity managers, and there are people within their team that are sort of involved in catering to contracts. But how are these contracts? Like, these are not normal contracts that we see, right? With standard clauses, and it's a little different in terms of you're dealing with a media and production house. Let's say you're dealing with like a label or an artist, and it's very different from how we do the general contracts, like how we do contracts in, let's say, merger and acquisitions, or when we're dealing with a corporate or a company. So what do you feel like in terms of your understanding is the difference between the two to begin with, and what are like some of the specific sort of areas that one needs to focus in if they're aspiring to be a media and entertainment lawyer?
See, Nishant, no, there is nothing called a standard contract.
Right.
Okay.
Okay.
I just
Okay.
hate this terminology. When
Okay.
people come and say it's a standard contract, there is
Right.
nothing standard in life.
All right.
Okay.
Okay. Okay.
You have to draft according to the needs of business. Okay. According to the transaction type. Okay.
Right.
And I think how you navigate between the regulatory landscape, how you navigate between two companies, right? All these legal issues is what is the most rewarding thing at the end of the day. Okay. Now, when you speak about the media and entertainment, okay, I've done it for quite some time. I still not don't call myself as an expert, but whatever share I've had in whatever stint I've had in till now, I think it's very dynamic. Okay, now the I think the one difference which is there in media, जो बाकी field में नहीं है, वो है unstructured. It's very unstructured. Nobody knows what they are doing in life. So someday, I'm telling you the real life example, okay?
Right.
आपको एक फाइनेंस का बंदा आएगा जो बोलेगा यू नो राइट नाउ मेक दिस कॉन्ट्रैक्ट ओके और मुझे 2 घंटे में कॉन्ट्रैक्ट चाहिए एंड द
Okay.
कॉन्ट्रैक्ट प्रोबेबली मेरे पास ऐसे भी कॉन्ट्रैक्ट्स आए हैं जो 150 पेजेस के हैं एंड आई
Right.
एम लाइक हाउ डू आई रीड 150 पेजेस इन 2 hours प्लीज गिव मी सम टाइम थोड़ा तो
Yeah.
पढ़ने दो
Right.
you know and I am not ChatGPT where you upload and the
Yeah.
GPT
You
will give
just
you an
give the
answer.
information. Yeah.
So, and this guy, they were like, no, what do you do? I mean, you just go to Google, copy something and paste it. I mean, क्या देखना है तुमको? देखो पैसा आ रहा है, धंधा कितना है, रिस्क है, लगा तो LOL, limitation of liability. That's it, done. And indemnity देख लेना डाल देना. Indemnity has become a favorite word
Yeah.
amongst people,
Yeah. Yeah.
even people who don't understand law. So I
There's
think
just
yeah, so that's there in media, which is um, at times it is also very something that you would enjoy something, but then at the same time ये बहुत difficult भी हो जाता है because आपके ऊपर बहुत pressure होता है. There's no work-life balance. Now in last 3.5 years, I've not read a book. So the book that you see on my LinkedIn now is because I am guilty of not reading, giving my time to, that area of my life where I'm not reading about anything. I'm right
right.
now reading Sapiens, okay?
Right. Right.
It's nothing to do with law.
Yeah.
But then when you read, there's something new for you to learn. I've not done that in last 3.5 years because my
Right.
timeline, my bandwidth has been very different.
Right.
My schedule has been at least 17 hours of work.
Right.
I've not had proper sleep. I started facing, getting into medical issues. Okay.
Right.
I've not
Right.
had time. So it gets very overwhelming at times, okay? And you have to kind of see how do you engage with different stakeholders? How do you anticipate what's coming next and still be on your toes and still give 100% in that? So yeah, I mean that's there, and I think there is quite a few exciting development also in media and entertainment today that we see. So
Right, right, right. No, and on a lighter note, like even though you don't like the word standard, at least get some standard sleep. Like 17 hours of work is crazy. Arunima, like I don't know.
I've
Like,
done.
yeah, please, please.
I'll Nishank, I'll be very honest with you.
Yeah,
Okay. Now I've worked in a place where, we had very limited budgets when it came to legal because legal is frowned upon as a cost-based vertical.
right,
Okay.
right,
You're
right,
not generating business, you're not generating revenue. So for
right,
you to even hire one person, you have to justify that cost. Why do I need this person?
right,
Okay. Now, the kind of budget that I had, I could only hire people who didn't have much relevant experience. So for me, I had to kind of train them from scratch, okay? And it was becoming very difficult at
Right,
times because half my day is spent on mentoring people, then little half is on negotiating deals because these clearly could not negotiate themselves.
right,
They could not be on a call. They did not know how to handle a client. And not every time you're going to have a hunky dory client who'll come and say, hey, I don't want this. Okay, let's go for mutual or let's go for unilateral. There are times when people get nasty on the call. They'll tell you, they'll demean you. So you need to handle all of that, absorb it. You cannot start crying on a call and say, hey, somebody's insulted me. So I have been in that situation, and I could not tell my team or people who were working with me that, look, I'm going home, but you complete this work. That's just not the kind of leader that I am. I feel very
right,
guilty. Even today,
right.
if I have to complete something, I will tell my team member to go home on time. I'll finish it. If there is anything where I need that team member's help, I will mail it to you. But as long as I'm here, I'll finish it.
Wow,
So
that's wonderful. And I think then the team is whatever team you have is quite lucky. That's not always the case to begin with. Anyone who's starting, especially in the corporate space, I can vouch for it. Not always the case. In fact, mostly not the case. But yeah, forget about it. Right. That is really, really wonderful. Arunima, also a little bit about 17 घंटे काम करते हो ऐसे आसान तो नहीं है ऐसे वुमेन पावर अवार्ड जीतना. You won 2 years in a row. Yeah, did I get the statistics right? You won 2 years in a row. Tell us a little bit about. You said that you should proudly accept your achievements and whatnot. Tell us a little bit about the award and what was this about? Like,
So this was about, as women who have contributed significantly in their area of practice. Okay. And I won it for media
right,
again. Okay. And I mean, you have to prepare a presentation with your achievement, what you have done in 1 year,
right,
how have you been contributing to the team's development and as a team growth. What are
right,
you doing as a leader? How are you promoting their growth? Okay.
right,
And the whole sustainability part, like how do you sustain? Have you downsized from a particular number or are you growing in that number? Okay, so these all factors have to be taken into consideration. What have you done as a law counsel for that company, where all you have been, what are the new tech improvements that you have brought into the system? So those kind of
right.
things, and that's where
Right, right, right. No, congratulations. Absolutely well deserved.
I
Yeah,
I I
please.
have so in my there I have also been in a place where I was told that three people, when you join in, we have two or three people report into you, and when I reached, there was absolutely no one. So I'm like, who are reporting to me? So it's you. Where is the team? It's you. Okay, who is going to work with
You're the
me? It's
team.
you. Yes. And I was handed over some 6 7 divisions, and in that moment, I felt really lost. But I told myself that, look, it's a challenge. We can't give up. And we'll see how do we go from here. And I think from zero, I successfully built a team of 7 later.
Wow. Yeah.
And then, left from that place, now joined another place,
Right,
doing
right,
the same thing.
right. No,
Right.
that's really wonderful. And we've seen the struggle part a bit, and then you're beautifully demonstrating how there are different nitty-gritties to how and what one has to go and grow through in this entire process. But I mean, as a team who's hosting this, and as the host, we are very proud of you, and we are really glad that you're here on the show. But a little bit more about we've talked about all the hardships and struggle parts. Could you do you have a deal like wherein you're very proud of that deal, or like you're very happy that you got to work on it, and that was a major learning experience for you in terms of not just like, I'm not talking about some big celebrity or XYZ, in the sense that you got to learn the practical nitty-gritties of how contracts work, or for example, like you said, uniquely tailoring contracts to every client's need. Is there a deal like that, like? Do you have anything specific in mind?
See, I was handling a JV between two companies operating in very significantly different regulatory landscape.
Right.
One was in EU and one was in India. Okay, so deal was particularly challenging because the contrasting approach to your whole data privacy and compliance part. One, second, Europe has very stringent regulations under frameworks like GDPR, um, wherein your Indian markets are relatively relaxed stance, which
Yeah.
created a very substantial gap that needed to be bridged. And the process was particularly exhaustive because you need to do a due diligence to map out the legal and operational risk for
Right.
both parties. Okay.
Okay. Okay.
You have to do a very detailed assessment of each jurisdiction, regulatory requirements, and you have to identify which areas are overlapping to or there is any divergence to ensure that the parties are aligned on at least the key obligation part. And the another critical element was stakeholder alignments because both parties had very different expectation, which
Right.
was shaped by their respective regulatory and the business environments. So bridging these differences required clear communications, relentless negotiations, and kind of you're focusing on building that trust between both of them. So I facilitated very regular decision discussions to address
Right.
these concerns,
Right.
clarify terms to them, and ensure that the agreement has reflected mutual understanding between both of them.
Right.
So the successful closing of the deal not only safeguarded the interest of both parties, but kind of established a very good model for future use between other
Right.
collaborations in probably similar sector. So
Right.
for me, it was a testament of adaptability, creative problem solving, and a commitment to find a common ground in the face of complex legal and cultural challenges.
No, and that is very wonderfully put. And I'm going to be very direct about this, okay? And I'm shifting my role from being a host. For some reason, when you talk about things, to me it seems that you have got 30 hours in a day. Because okay, let's just I don't for people who do not know, and I didn't want to bring it up earlier in the first part of the show itself, but as we're moving close to the closing segments, it's very important to highlight you run an Instagram page, okay, and that is owned by you post your stuff there. I've been seeing all your status, status and whatever it is. Not very good with social media, hardly use one. But yeah, you've been putting all of that across. You are active. You have a newsletter. For people who do not know, Arunima also posts a newsletter on LinkedIn. You can go and follow her there. And you're working full time as a lawyer, and you're catering into all of these contracts. For some reason, it gives me the feeling that दिन में बाकी सबके पास 24 घंटे हैं, but Arunima के पास 30 घंटे हैं. And at least that's the work ethic that you're bringing on board. uh how on earth do you, like, I don't think there is a more direct way to put it, but how on earth do you end up managing all of this? Like you said, it's taking a little bit of a toll on your health, and at times it does happen, matlab, to it's like a given. But then how do you, like, people talk a lot about, there is a lot of talk in fact on LinkedIn, and after every time sort of Murthy ji comes on any show and he talks about work life balance, the entire discussion around it re-erupts. But what do you feel is your concept of work life balance? Is there one?
Yeah, I mean, depends. What is your solace? So solace for everybody is very different when it's very subjective. Now, solace for someone could mean going back to Netflix, chilling at home. 9 घंटे काम किया अभी मुझे Netflix करना है. I want to watch the show. That is also okay. Okay.
Right.
To me, it's not like I'm working 24 hours, okay?
Right.
But I consciously try not to waste time because for me, it is the most important investment. Okay, I look at it in this way. When you invest in share market, right? You're very much keeping a tab on where the money is growing.
Right.
If it is going in loss, you'll pull out that money, that
Right.
portion of it, right?
Right.
So why not your own life? Okay. I don't want to be somebody who is sitting at a certain age looking back in hindsight and saying, hey, ye kiya hota shayad. Us time mehnat ki hoti to ye. And I've heard that a lot of times in my life, okay?
Yeah.
I I think the reason that I am so adamant, or the way I work, or I'm very passionate about certain things, is coming from a place that I have faced a lot of pushbacks. I have
Mm.
faced a lot of failures. I have seen people coming and telling me that you're a woman, you are not meant for this field. You can, लड़कियों को लॉयर नहीं बनना चाहिए. I have been in court where someone had said, "Madam, घर जाके आराम करो. This is not meant for you." Okay. So I have been in those places. I have been told that, why don't you be an air hostess? That will be a better profession for you. Because the way you dress up. Now, I do not find anything wrong with the way I was dressing up, but somebody had commented in that manner. And I started my career with litigation. So it's a very, very tough place. And if you are lucky, like I said, you'll get a good mentor. Otherwise, most of them there are to exploit you. And the kind of seniors that I got were very nasty. They were
Yeah.
very, insulting. I mean, something like, I don't understand how the Stamp Act, is to be interpreted. What will be the duty which will be applicable on a particular
Applicable for,
instrument? Can
yeah.
you can
Yeah.
you please help me to, calculate it? And I was insulted for 8 hours and still not given an answer. I had to go to somebody else altogether with the book and say, can you please explain it to me? I used to go to High Court, Bombay High Court, where I would sit with random seniors, okay, with whom I had nothing to do. Like randomly, I would approach them and say, sir, if you can help. They have helped me. So I have had kindness from random people than people I was working with. I have, even today, when I talk about juniors, the people that I have mentored, I don't think they have the regards or, the kind of appreciation what I've done for them. And that's okay with me. I don't look back and say, hey, you have to come back and say thanks to me. That's okay. That's how life is. 99% people, like I said. So it comes from experience. When you keep falling and falling and you say, hey, I need to be somewhere, but I need to work on my skill set. I am not, I, I'm not a prodigy. Let me be very blunt. I'm not a prodigy. I don't have that IQ of an Einstein. So I need to build that for myself. And the way I could do it is when I'm reading constantly, I'm working upon myself. And instead of, everybody has that time. I mean, I don't think that it's very difficult to go and post something on LinkedIn. People don't post it because they are either watching something, they are at a club, they are traveling somewhere. So don't come back and say, hey, I did not have time for this. No, you had time for other things, which I have sacrificed.
True.
Your achievement is that. My
True. True.
achievement is this. We both are sacrificing at certain level.
Right. Right.
Right?
Right.
Now to each his own. What is your solace? You figure out and you accept.
Absolutely, absolutely. And no, the part about how you've grown through this journey, especially dealing with your seniors, I think anybody who watches it and ever has been in your shoes, you'll be quite an inspiration to them. So, firstly, kudos to you for that. And secondly, the real contrast, how you deal with your juniors, given that you are being dealt a certain way by your seniors, also shows up in the kind of leadership and the way you have been, I guess, brought up and the mindset that you've inculcated. And I'm really, really happy that you've come on this show and spoken about these things. And quite frankly, like a lot of it is resonating in the sense that it is quite difficult for a lot of people. A lot of people out there, it is true, the world is not all flowers, there's not all roses, there are quite a couple of thorns as well. So quite a few thorns, in fact. So that's the reality of it, and it shows how you've developed through all the stages. Okay, let's come to the closing segment of the first episode that'll be aired for season 3 open floor with Nishank. Arunima, I'll ask a couple of questions and then we'll finally thank you so much for your time. We'll finally be done with the show. Also, like I want to sort of ask what's next for you before we talk about the final word of advice for the aspirants? Is there something that we should be watching out for? Anyone who's watching this can follow you about if you're starting anything new, or you want them to, let's say, understand or learn about certain things that you are preaching, whether it's your newsletters or your Instagram or whatnot. What's new for Arunima, or what's next for Arunima?
Uh, so I'm coming up with, I've not told this to anybody, but
Okay, wait, then
I'll
I need
just.
to do this like live exclusive on my show today, tonight. Yeah, please.
So I've not put it out in public, but
Yeah.
I have been working on a book which is on media and entertainment, and
Oh,
I
nice.
have been working on it for 2.5 years.
Okay.
It's already compiled.
Okay.
Now I've gotten the approval from the publisher, and we're going to publish it next year. So the
Wow.
other thing that I want is for me in the upcoming year would be all about, how to make this book available to people who
Right.
are wishing to join this field and
Right.
really don't have much clarity like me. Where I
Right.
did not have. For me, media meant only IP.
Right. Right.
When I
Nice.
joined, I realized, okay, no, it's not just IP, it's a
Mm.
lot more than under the
Yeah.
umbrella.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I think that is there. And of course, I mean, I am still continuing with my MBA. I have my 2 semesters in the
Okay.
next
Okay.
year.
Oh, okay.
So that's still, yes, that's still pending. I've just completed
Right.
two, and two are
Yeah.
still left.
Right. Right.
And yeah, let's see. I hope to do more podcasts
No,
and more
more
things like this.
collaborations. Perfect,
Yes.
perfect. No, that's amazing, and congratulations on the book. Yeah, it's really nice. In 2.5 years of efforts and whatnot, and I'm sure. Okay, we will put it in description. I don't know when we're going to release this. We're going to deliberate a little bit about the timing when the show is gonna come out. But we are going to put that book in the description as soon as your book is out, and I hope we get some copies. I'm just kidding
Of
about that.
course.
No, but absolutely, we'll just whenever your book is out, please do let us know. And everybody, bhai, who's watching today, please check our book out, especially if you are a law aspirant, because that's where the target audience essentially lies. Arunima, last question for you. For the show, final question. One final word of advice. Anything that you have for aspirants who are starting out, and this show is entirely dedicated to them. Anything that you want to say about the show, its format, or about me? Because when you say nice things, we put that out, we create a specific highlight, and we run that. So anything at all jokes apart, yeah. And we close the show on that note.
Uh, Trust is lost in drops and earned in buckets.
Wow. Okay.
Always remember, once you have, somebody trusts you, never ever break it. Whether it's your client, whether it's your stakeholders, whether it's the company that you're working upon, even when you are leaving, please never ever do that. It will come back to you, okay, some way or the other, okay? So I think it's very important as professionals that we maintain the trust, and that is the, quality work that we portray out in public. That
Right.
why लॉयर बहुत मिल जाएंगे, लॉयर्स बहुत मिलते हैं, ट्रस्ट नहीं मिलता है, यू नीड ह्यूमंस. अगर लॉयर से चाहिए ना, एआई is doing much better work than
Yeah.
a lot of people that I know.
Right. Right.
So
It's
you
true.
need you need a human being to work with. So be the
Okay.
human, and
Nice.
then try being a lawyer. So yes, that would be my
Wonderful, wonderful.
last
So that's
advice.
that's something we could use really well. And also closing comments on the show. You have to say something about the show when you're there. You can even talk about the format, whatever it is, but closing comments, and we close the show.
Uh, thanks to you that you have designed something of this sort. Honestly, when I was doing my law, or I was, building a career in the freshman year, right? I really didn't have people to follow or to even understand. I was having a lot of self-doubts, okay? So
Right.
I think you're giving a very wonderful platform to people, to younger generation, where they could interact with someone who is already experienced in that area. And that's not something that people do for free. you know. So if
Yes.
you're doing it without any monetary aspect, I think kudos to you. I
Right.
wish I had something like this when I was aspiring to come in this area
Yeah.
of law. So, yes, I think that's the best part about
Right.
being
Right.
on the show. I
Perfect.
look at it as something which is very,
Yeah.
you're a very kind person, you're a very kind host, and I'm very honored to be part of this. So, thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Also, this is not scripted, okay? To anyone who watches this, and sorry for putting you on the spot. It's just that I like to have a little bit of fun in the end, and then I just tell them to say anything, and nobody ends up saying anything negative that way, so it's fine. No, it looks good on us. So, but that is it. Thank you so much, Arunima, for joining us. I'll put your Instagram and I'll put your LinkedIn in the description. Please follow her, check her profile out, and if you like it, please engage and engage positively, especially if you're going from this show. Thank you so much. It was wonderful having you on this show. And
Thank
on
you.
this note, we'll end the show for today.